Hey guys, just a quick disclaimer. This is not intended to be medical advice. Please do your own research before you decide to do practices such as Kambo. Welcome back, travelers, to an all new video. I'm super excited to be doing this video today because this is a video that has been very challenging to record. But I really hope that today we get this video done right and it's all worth it and it helps so many people. So the video today is going to be all around Kambo ceremonies. If you have been tuning into my recent videos, you know I've been doing videos on ancestral shamanic medicine. I have a whole playlist, which I'll link up here somewhere for you to go watch later and go through these videos. But I've shared a little bit about my experiences. And last August 2023, I did a Kambo ceremony with Nick. And Nick has kind of been my guide in this world of shamanic medicine and things because that's his jam. I really wanted to bring Nick on to really just dive deep into Kambo ceremonies and to really answer any questions that anyone may have around the safety of Kambo and what to consider before doing a Kambo ceremony. So that way you can go and book your Kambo ceremony if it's aligned with you. With complete trust in yourself and knowing how to advocate for yourself or choose the right center or the right Kambo guide for you. If you're new to my channel, my name is Stef. I love doing all kinds of videos on all things about Peru. And I do a lot of videos giving people travel advice for people coming here to visit. I do videos for people wanting to move to Peru and people wanting to connect with their Peruvian roots. That's the basis of my channel. And now we're going to be exploring some things related to ancestral indigenous medicine or indigenous Peruvian medicine. And one of those things is Kambo. If you haven't seen my video on my personal Kambo ceremony, check out my playlist and go and watch that when you have a chance. But in my video, I just expressed myself as best as I could in the moment. Then after watching that video back recently and posting it, I was like, oh, maybe I misspoke and maybe I need to bring on an expert to kind of clarify anything I may have expressed incorrectly due to my ignorance on the subject. So, without any more delays, I want to introduce you guys to Nick. Nick and I, we've been connected since last year. He's a really great person, and I'm really happy to have him here today to help those of you who are interested in this medicine. I want to start off this video with just a quick introduction about you. So, could you share a little bit about your background and how you ended up finding yourself on this spiritual path that led you to becoming a Kambo practitioner?
Okay, I'm gonna try to make it as short as possible because I have a very lengthy story with a lot of details and stuff. But okay, so to sum it up, basically, I'm 33 years old. I'm from Canada. I am retired military. So I've served my country for 11 years in the military, and I realized it wasn't for me. As I was going on, I realized that it was actually making me really sad. It was very misaligned with my path, my true path, and what I was truly, longing for, or what I was truly like passionate about. I'm very passionate about healing. So basically, after about like 5 years in the military or something, I realized like, oh no, it's not for me. I really don't like this type of job. I don't know. I'm very free spirited type of guy. I like to do my own things. I don't like to follow rules. So it was really not the right place for me, right? So I stayed for an extra 5 years after that, just because, I had a stable salary and everything, even though I was like not really happy in my own skin. And after 11 years, I finally decided to leave, to quit the military. I've put my resignation, and then I finally left. And about literally 3 months after I retired from the military, after I got out, I literally left Canada towards Peru because I was really interested into all these shamanic medicines, such as ayahuasca, for example. I was interested in, different other psychedelics that can be very healing for a lot of people, and it wasn't really compatible with the military either. So I was like, oh, let's just leave. Let's follow my dreams, follow my passions, right? And yeah, just go for it. Whatever, the unknown of my future shows up, right? Just follow my intuition and to leave. So I left. I left my country, and because I wanted to work on my own healing and my own traumas and everything, and my own also sense of direction in my life. So that's why I decided to do ayahuasca. And I decided to look at different healing centers in different parts of Peru because in Peru and other places, especially in the Amazonian region, that's where it's the home of ayahuasca, of the ancestors, where they've indigenous people have been working with this powerful medicine for thousands of years, and it was just so powerful. So I was like, okay, I gotta experience this, right? But with the true indigenous people, the people that know what they're talking about, right? And it's deep to their hearts and their roots. So I came down here and I had about like 11 ayahuasca ceremonies over the course of a year or so. And I visited different healing centers. And also, before I left Canada, I had the thought of, you know what? I really feel called to this line of work. I'm talking about like healing. I want to at least try to become a shaman, or at least to help people, because I've always been helping people in my life in general, but I was also passionate about that. So I was like, maybe that's it, right? So I had this calling. So I was like, okay, so if I want to become a shaman, I got to actually go into different healing centers as I experience my own ayahuasca ceremonies. And I asked the different shamans, would you be my teacher? Would you be my teacher? Right? And I asked multiple centers. The shamans, the people at different centers, they kept telling me, like, once you choose your shaman, you choose your shaman. So you can't just like change your mind and go somewhere else, or you started an apprenticeship with a shaman and then start to go and do other ceremonies without the shaman. It's kind of disrespectful and everything to their own lineage and a lot of different things. I really had to think about that, because I really had to feel like the healing center and the shamans there really feel aligned to really find my teacher. So I looked at different healing centers, and at some point I found this one healing center where they were so professional and they were working in a different manner, in a different way with the medicines also, where they were actually integrating a deeper, more meaningful, to me anyways, it felt, approach to healing, where you actually add in intention. You don't just add medicine to the person, or the person drinks medicine or whatever, and then just, okay, the healing's going to happen. No, no, no. It was deeper than that. We actually were talking together, and we're actually talking about healing. What do I want to heal in my life? It was kind of almost like I was talking to a psychologist, but I was just talking to like one of the workers at the center. That was before the ceremony, right? So for them, intention setting is very, very important, because it connects you to your intentions. It connects you to what you actually truly need to heal, and these energies within you, these emotions, whatever. And then when it's time to healing and you actually got the medicine, then you can actually heal it better. I fell in love with this healing center. And after I was there, I was like, my God, these people are professionals. They really know what they're doing. I really like the energy, the vibe there. And I really like the shaman, because I've saw a few shamans at that point. And I started to see like, there were some energies with some shamans that I wasn't really vibing with or whatever. And at that center where they were super professional, not just that, the shaman that was there during my stay, she had such a pure heart. She was so connected. And that really moved me. And I was like, wow, okay, I gotta do it there, right? I gotta connect with this person. I feel like after all these different shamans that I've seen, I want to get trained by her. I fell in love with that center. I fell in love with how professional they were. I really liked the shaman there. I was like, would you be my teacher? And she was like, yes. But first of all, she actually asked the medicine, ayahuasca, in one of the ceremonies, is becoming a shaman actually truly your path, Nicolas? And she asked the medicine during a ceremony, and the answer came back to be a yes. And I was like, oh, wonderful. So my intuition was probably spot on. So I wanted to work with them, right? But I wanted to like work at the center there first before I do my shaman apprenticeship, because also it requires money, right? They got to pay their workers and everything. And I was like, okay, how can I work at your center? Because I spoke to the owner, and she was like, you can work at our center, but before you have to actually be able to help us a lot in the center and serve one of the medicines that we're serving called Kambo. So that's kind of how I got into this path, into serving the powerful medicine of Kambo, was to be eventually working at that healing center to eventually continue further my shamanic path. And since they're all aligned, because it's just a different type of indigenous medicine, and indigenous, powerful tool that they've been working with for thousands of years, well, it's aligned. It's not exactly the same as ayahuasca, but it's all within the sphere of healing. So that's kind of how it brought me there, and it helped me a lot on my own healing. And ever since last year, I've been professionally trained with them, and I'm just extremely, extremely happy to be serving this medicine and play my part in healing humanity.
I know you did this training to work at the center, but why did you become so passionate about it? Or when did you become so passionate about it? And had you done Kambo before you went to the center?
Okay, so for Kambo, I did a Kambo once. at another healing center, which was my very, very first healing center I went to. At that healing center, there was no real intention setting. So I was definitely connecting with the medicine in a different way, but it was still powerful. But once I saw how deep they actually went to be able to heal further with connecting with the intentions and how professional they were and everything, that's how I knew. I was like, yes, I really vibe with this. I really feel called to this. I would really like to work with these people. And to be honest with you, like the first few times I did Kambo, I never even thought I would ever be serving this medicine because it was so uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable when you have to face your own, I don't know, I guess the word can be demons, your own demons or your own like shadows, I guess. Whenever they kind of come up, right? Your emotions or whatever comes up in these ceremonies. Yeah, pain, trauma, whatever. And it's just very uncomfortable. Kambo can be a very intense medicine, but it does heal very quick. It does help to release things extremely quick. So after you feel so good, but during the experience, as you're experiencing, you're like, oh, no, no, no. Why did I even sign up for this? Wow, this is the most intense thing I've ever experienced in my life. Oh, how uncomfortable, right? And I never thought I would ever, I didn't even want to do Kambo again. Yeah, but the owner was like, well, if you want to work at a center, you're going to have to do it. And I was like, okay, sure. And I did it, and I had to push through my own fears. And as I did the actual training, that's when something in my mind changed. Because during the training for like about 10 days, we were doing 2 Kambo ceremonies every single day. It was very intense Kambo ceremonies, including a lot of different purges and things coming out of us, right? And after I think the fourth or the fifth day of doing it twice a day, my fears around Kambo and the experience of it and how uncomfortable it was kind of started to dissipate away. And I really started to actually start liking it because of how good I actually felt after, because I felt so much lighter. I felt so much lighter. I felt so much relieved. I felt different. Something changed inside of me and it just felt very good. It gave me this peace of mind that I didn't even know I actually had in me because I had so many traumas or so many emotions or things haunting me from the past, actually clouding my own peace, right? Or my own balance. So that's kind of how it happened. Like I did it a lot during the training, and then as I pushed through, then I actually started to like Kambo and I really saw the benefits of it. And now I'm more than happy to actually serve the medicine to help people.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing your experience. I know for me, I decided to do Kambo with you because I had witnessed someone do Kambo in 2016, as I shared in my video on ayahuasca. I talked about that. And because I saw that person purge violently, it just really freaked me out. Like they threw up, like to me, it was violent. It was just like all this stuff coming out of them. And I was like, what in the world? So it really freaked me out. But then on top of that, like looking back on that experience in 2016, I could tell that there wasn't much structure in how that shamanic experience was being held. It was more informal in the sense of, okay, we're your guides. We're going to apply this medicine to you. Here you go. Boom, you purge, you clean, you're done, you move on. Or you wait until the experience finishes. And, that serves, I think, a benefit to a certain extent because, of course, the medicine is helping you on some level, regardless of the guides, maybe not helping you go as deep and just letting the medicine do its work. But because I've been in the field of healing since late 2016, 2017, and I just have more experience now, I can just look back on that experience and be like, oh, yeah, I prefer and I feel much more comfortable doing these shamanic things or these plant medicines, whatever they may be, with people who have a certain level of preparation behind them, have a certain level of structure in how they hold the experience. If I'm going to do ayahuasca, preferably I just don't want to drink some ayahuasca and then be done with it. I want someone to help me maybe prepare for it beforehand and then hold the ceremony and then help me integrate afterwards. And not every healing center or place that you go to take these kinds of medicines does that. And so when I first met you, I think a month after or so you had finished your training. and you told me about it, and just the way that you described everything from start to finish of how the process went down, it really gave me confidence to be open to doing Kambo with someone like you, because I didn't want just someone to just apply dots to my, body. I wanted more support and more help, which is how you were trained to, do this kind of ceremony, and what felt aligned with me and made me feel safe with just the safety protocols and everything that you told me about. So that's why I decided to do Kambo with you and face my own fears in doing that. And I'm, due for another Kambo session at any point sometime this year, hopefully. We'll see how the stars align. I realized in my Kambo ceremony video that I kind of misspoke, and I kind of called the Kambo stuff as like poison. Because I just thought, frog poison, whatever, that's what it is. But maybe that wasn't the best term to use to describe Kambo. So I would love for you to kind of clarify what exactly is a Kambo ceremony? What is the Kambo medicine?
You can use poison if you want. It does have a negative connotation, so I wouldn't use it all the time. It's very good for for views, I guess, for people clicking on it, like, oh wow, poison, right? But scientifically, it is considered a toxin, but it is a frog sweat. It is a frog excretion that comes from a bicolored frog from the Amazon called Philomedusa bicolor. Philomedusa bicolor is a type of frog that literally climbs on trees. It's the giant monkey tree frog, and it's bright green and also white on the bottom, right? And the native people have been using this frog sweat. They accumulate it on small sticks, and then the medicine kind of dries at some point. And when they want to use it, they do a very, very small, very superficial burn on the first layer of the skin to expose the lymphatic system. There's no blood involved there at all. It's only it looks white, and it exposes the lymphatic system. They just mix their saliva basically with the dried secretion to re-wet it, basically re-humidify it, and then apply it to their skin after them. And then they apply the wet medicine directly there. And then after that, it's about 20 to 30-minute experience where they would be purging a lot. Could be purging emotions, traumas, whatever that doesn't serve them, that is sticking to them, right? Whether it's addiction or so many different things that they could be purging out of their lives. And Kambo, especially used by many tribes near the border of Peru and also Brazil, such as the indigenous people called the Matses, where my teacher got originally trained by directly inside the jungle. It's part of their culture. It's part of being, I guess, jungle warriors, I guess you could call it, right? It strengthens their body, it strengthens their minds, and also it removes what they call panema, which is basically weakness or cloud obstructing your free flow and your goodness and everything. So you can kind of see it as like you have bad things that happens in your life, whatever. You have like a kind of like a cloud that's obstructing. It obstructs you fully embodying you inside your full power, basically. And Kambo kind of removes that and really calms you down, puts you back into balance, and removes toxins, removes emotional blocks, removes addictions, removes so many different bad things that don't serve you. And then you feel so much better and so much aligned, relaxed, and just you feel good, how we should be feeling. So it's a temporary uncomfortable experience you go through, but then after that you feel so much better, even better than how you were before you actually had your ceremony. So I don't know if that answered fully your question on what is Kambo, but it's this frog excretion that the indigenous people apply to their body to better their lives.
You answered my question and went beyond. Thank you. I know you've shared with me in the past, and I touched on this a little bit in the interview that I did with Heather on her life changing experience with ayahuasca. But could you give us a little bit of the folkloric tales of how the Gambo ceremony was given to the Matzes?
So basically, how Kambo arrived, the legend says that certain indigenous tribe were actually affected by certain diseases and plagues or whatever affecting them. It could be many different things. My theory is that it was probably they were affected by the yellow fever and or the malaria inside the jungle. That's my theory, but who knows? But they were affected by disease. A lot of people were dying. And then what happened is that the elders of the village kind of grouped up together and they were like, we really got to do something. And then one of the shamans was like, okay, he decided to drink ayahuasca, and as the medicine of ayahuasca, please help me in my village to get rid of this plague or this disease that's really, plaguing us, attacking us right now. Please help us, right? Was asking nature in general. So drank ayahuasca as the medicine, whatever, and then he kind of went off in a jungle by himself. After being over there, the shaman was in there and was sitting on the tree. And then randomly, after he asked like, okay, what can help me? Then a frog came onto his shoulder. And then he asked the spirit of the jungle or the forest, does this frog is really going to help us and my people? How is this frog is going to actually help us? Like, it's just a tiny little frog. And then the spirit of the forest literally told him, no, 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 you're mistaking, my dear one. This frog is the prince of the forest. This frog is going to help you in your village to get rid of all this. He's a very, very powerful ally. No one messes with him in the jungle. So, and then from that point on, then he received a message. The shaman received a message that, okay, how to administer the medicine, that it was, administered through the shoulder, the ankles or whatever, and how to exactly extract it and everything. Came back to his village and then brought it to the village people, and then they got cured. They got rid of the plague or whatever was actually affecting them. Yeah, so that's kind of how it went. And also the indigenous people also use it to improve their eyesight and also improve their health as jungle warriors, to be able to hunt better and have better hunting skills.
I believe that in the past you've told me that Kambo is considered nature's vaccine as a result of that little folklore. So, is it good at eradicating a number of different illnesses, or is it only a specific few? How does having a Kambo ceremony positively affect people's health?
That's a very complex question, Steph, but this is not medical advice, by the way. But Kambo helps with so many different things, so many different potential uh, diseases, or, it has certain properties to eliminate micropathogens inside the body. So it's very powerful. It is a natural detoxifier also. So it's one of the most powerful, natural, completely natural antibiotic. Also, it's an immune system booster because it kind of shocks your immune system. It's like, oh my God, what is this, right? And then the body kind of calms down. It's like, okay, no, it's actually not dangerous as I thought. And that's why sometimes it can be a little bit intense, because the body at first is kind of like, oh, what is this thing that's in my body right now? But then it relaxes because it realizes that it's okay. It goes through the blood-brain barrier, which a lot of toxins, right, are usually completely blocked from even entering the blood-brain barrier and affecting your brain. But for some reason, Kambo goes through the blood-brain barrier and affects your brain and also different parts of the body very positively. Now, some people use it for pain relief also. It helps with depression, addictions, improving blood circulation inside the body in general. It's very good for that. It's very good for just getting a sense of directions in one's life, emotional release, trauma release. People use it also for not medical advice, but people use it sometimes when they have Parkinson's or even Alzheimer's disease, because it does help to improve the blood circulation inside the brain. So some people have seen a lot of positive results with that. And also certain peptides inside the frog compound, right, inside Kambo, does have some anti-cancer properties, which is very, very interesting. It is said also that people that does take Kambo very often are rarely sick, because the Kambo kind of goes to the body through the immune system and just cleanses everything. I can guarantee you that not a lot of pathogens, viruses will want to stay in your body if you take Kambo. Whether it's a cold, it can even help with certain other viruses potentially. Like I said, not medical advice, but some people use it even for things like, the herpes complex virus, for example, or other viruses sometimes that affects the body. So it's really, really interesting. And also, I've seen a video not too long ago of an actual Matse healer, one of the indigenous people that actually had cancer, and apparently he used Kambo every 2 days for a whole month, and apparently he did some tests after that month and he didn't have anything anymore. So it's just really interesting how powerful sometimes these powerful medicines can be into proving so many different things. It also helps to improve eyesights. That's why also the warriors actually use it. Sometimes certain women in the tribes also use it for birth control. It's pretty intense birth control, but it could be used as a birth control in early stages of the fetus also. So many uses. It just goes on and on and on.
So those are all really cool facts about Kambo. That said, is it safe for everyone to use? Because it does seem like a very intense thing on the body.
That's a very, very important question that you just asked right there, because that's why me as a professional Kambo practitioner, for us, it's very important that we actually vet people. Even for ayahuasca, people have to be vetted. If you truly want to give a secure experience for the people, you got to vet them, because there has been some negative experiences or negative interactions, I guess, with certain conditions, and when people have been doing Kambo. So that's why we got to be careful. We vet them, but in general, Kambo is very safe. Kambo is very safe for most people. It's just that if you have certain health conditions, it's not advisable to actually take Kambo. So for example, if you have certain like health issues such as a high or low blood pressure and you require medication because of it, I wouldn't advise you taking Kambo. If you have, for example, heart issues, I would go through the vetting process, make sure that you don't have any of the different heart related issues that we have that could potentially interfere with Kambo. Heart related issues, if you had a heart surgery, if you had an organ transplant, because Kambo really improves the blood flow, but really pumps the blood temporarily during that ceremony. If you had like a recent transplant, it's probably not a good idea to do Kambo, because your organs and everything inside is still healing, and having an extra blood flow might do some extra bleeding, which you try to avoid, right? So organ transplant, heart issues, if you have intense or very severe mental conditions such as psychosis, I wouldn't advise taking Kambo. Or a pregnant woman, for example, or I wouldn't give Kambo to an adolescent or a child. A person has to be an adult, right? If you have like very weak heart, for example, people being affected with obesity, for example, right? I wouldn't give Kambo to them, because Kambo can be a little bit too rough for them. There's a few counterindications that we got to go through, but as long as the person don't fall under the counterindications, Kambo is extremely safe for these people and for most people in general. You just have to go to this vetting process just for the safety of the clients. And after that, we go through it. Usually, yeah, we're good to go for a ceremony with that person.
You mentioned just now that gumbo might not be safe for everyone because, especially when the person giving the gumbo medicine doesn't do their due diligence and they don't properly pre screen people, they can administer it to the wrong person. Do you have any stories of a gumbo ceremony going wrong and the potential ideas around maybe why that went wrong?
Yes, I could refer to you as to three different examples where things have gone wrong. One of them is, I believe it was a man in the United States. He self-applied combo and he wasn't with anyone, and I believe that person suffered from a heart attack. So maybe we don't know. I don't haven't dived really too much into this story, but I believe that he probably had some heart issues before, and also he self-applied combo by himself. So I would never self-apply combo alone. You always have someone with you, and ideally you want to have a professional, someone who knows the safety measures and what to do, so that if something would go wrong, then they can call the ambulance or the hospital, the emergency services, and that person's life would actually be saved. Another case was from a woman actually that did combo through, I guess, a center in, I believe it was in Australia. The woman unfortunately passed away, I think, a few days after the combo experience in the hospital. But also the woman, she was suffering from obesity, or she was having issues with that, and that she probably had some weakening of the heart, which is not advisable if you're going to do combo. Because of that incident in Australia with that woman, they have banned combo in Australia. Another case I saw was someone who drank way too much water directly after the ceremony and before the ceremony. We recommend people to drink definitely some water before the ceremony, to drink about 2 liters. So what we say is don't drink more than 5 liters. If you drink too much, you're going to lower the amounts of electrolytes inside your bloodstream, and that can actually become dangerous. That's not even with Kambo, it's in general. You could literally die from water poisoning if you drink too much water. It's important to drink it water, but definitely not too much, because as we purge, we lower these electrolytes a little bit in there, but we still want to be hydrated enough. So there's a fine balance there. It's anywhere between 2 to 5 liters, and one of these centers, I believe, also recommended one of the person that really felt bad after a Kambo ceremony to keep drinking water without telling them don't drink more than X amount of water. So I believe if people aren't really doing their due diligence, if people aren't really vetting people properly, then they're doing a disservice to the medicine of Kambo, because then they're actually putting people at risk. They're not doing a service to themselves or the people in the world by putting actually people in at risk, right? So, but Kambo is very safe for people if you're not under the counter indications. So it's just something to be very mindful about. And it's kind of like most medicines. Even ayahuasca can have some bad side effects with certain people that is just aren't a right fit. For example, if you have psychosis and you don't want to do ayahuasca, because it might trigger some sort of episode or some sort of really negative things. I think as long as people do their homework as to what problems have been caused with the medicine that they're applying to people and that they're working with, and they know the type of issues that has caused issues with other people in the past and complications, while you add that to your vetting process, and then you really improve dramatically the security and the safety of the service you're actually offering to people. That's why we have a good list of counterindications, but we go through the whole list with the people, and then they feel safer also with us, because we've actually done a thorough homework onto all of the different things that has caused issues with Kambo before with people, and make sure that they don't have it. And since we do that, then the clients feel safer, and also the client is safer, because the likelihood of them having anything is dramatically reduced to very, very, very low numbers. It's almost unheard of. If you don't have any counterindications, I don't think they would have any issues. Mostly, if people are in good health in general, no, Kambo doesn't really cause anything bad.
So what I feel you're saying is that because you have this list of people with certain illnesses who could experience adverse effects in a gumbo ceremony, because you have those listed out, people can more easily determine whether or not gumbo's a right fit for them or not. Because if they have something listed on there, then it's more than likely not a good fit for them because it might have an adverse effect, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And if you want also for the people on your channel, I can send you a little copy of the counterindications, so people can actually just at least go through these counterindications just for extra safety. If you're ever thinking of doing combo with another practitioner, it's very important that you go through this list and make sure that you don't have any of these, just for your own safety. And if you don't have anything, then I wish you the best of healing with this powerful medicine, because combo is very magical.
Well, thank you so much for that checklist that you're going to send me. I'll put it up here for people to go through and pause the video and just look through and see if you're listed in there in any kind of way. So, since we're on the topic of safety, what are some quote unquote like dangerous things or unsafe things that can happen to someone when they're in gumbo? Does that make sense? I hope I'm wording my question right, but like where could gumbo go wrong in a sense in an actual ceremony that people can have awareness about, and how do you as a gumbo practitioner manage those situations?
So this is not necessarily considered, oh, something has gone wrong, but one thing that sometimes does happen to a small percentage of people, but it does happen. Sometimes combo can be very intense for people, and sometimes people do pass out. It does happen. And when they do pass out, that's where you need good qualified practitioner who's not gonna like overreact, who's not gonna like have anxiety or whatever, who's gonna be able to like manage panic, yeah, who's gonna really be able to like manage the situation if that would happen, so that they can react calmly. And usually, even when people pass out, they usually come back within 2 or 3 minutes. We just gotta make sure that they're still breathing within the ceremony. Usually, it never pretty much never happens. I have never passed out in all of my combo ceremonies, and I've done a lot of them. What could go wrong? If the medicine is too strong and the person passes out, and if the person doesn't have back support, the person could fall on their head. If the practitioner isn't close to the client, yeah, who's going to be able to catch them? Who's going to be able, like, you got to be close to them to make sure that they don't fall. If the ceremony is too intense for them, the medicine is too intense for them, if they would pass out, obviously we also remove the medicine right away from their arm or ankle to avoid having extra medicine ingested. So that's one of them. Another one of them is that because Kambo really, it increases the blood flow inside your body to all areas of your body, you might have more blood flow going to the head, right? And sometimes people have the face that is slightly inflated, and nothing is going wrong in that. What I recommend during a combo ceremony is that the person literally tries to sit up in sitting position with their legs crossed like that, because once they do that, at least the blood flow circulates naturally into their whole body. But if the person, let's say during the whole combo ceremony, is on their fours, then the chances of them having an inflated head, which is, nothing dangerous with that, is just it might be uncomfortable. And you swollen head, yeah, you might have a swollen head for 30 minutes to an hour or something after. It does happen, and you're going to be sometimes even unrecognizable, but that's completely fine. Sometimes even some certain people, like someone right, she had her swollen head for like a few days, right? So 3 days exactly. So it really depends from person to person, but usually in general, it never happens for longer than right after the ceremony to a few hours after. It usually dissipates in the blood flow. So yeah, don't be on your four during the whole ceremony. Remind yourself to, unless you need it for purging during the ceremony, try to like sit up with your legs crossed, and if you have your bucket or whatever for your purge, just have it in front of you. What could go wrong? It's not really going wrong, but people can freak out a little bit sometimes if it's too intense for them or whatever. But it's just in general something to be expected, that people aren't going to freak out, but people are going to feel the intensity of the combo depending on the trauma or whatever they're working through, and that they're going to be having releases, which is called the purge. You have different types of releases. You have sweating, crying, screaming, sweating, cold chills, whatever, right? You have so many different types of releases. And this is just something to be kind of potentially expecting as you're going through this 20 to 30-minute ceremony. I don't think much can really go wrong if you vet the person first and you make sure that the person is safe, you're there in front of them, close to them, and they don't do combo alone. Usually it's very safe and there's nothing really to worry about. There's one last one that I just remember right now, is because there's the purging, right, which includes also vomiting, which I did not mention earlier. Vomiting is the most common type of purge. Okay, that's why it's important for people not to lay down because of that purge. That purge, you don't want to be laying down and have a purge and then have a harder time breathing in your own vomit, right? It's kind of like someone who drinks too much. Sometimes certain people that drinks too much or that are too affected by alcohol, sometimes they die in their vomit. Obviously, we have a practitioner, so that shouldn't happen, but that's why you don't want to just be laying down. It's not really safe. That's why we recommend people to just sit up or to be on their fours or slightly tilted, and that's the safest way to do it. That's one thing that could go wrong if people aren't being proactive.
This is in part why I wanted to make this video, is just to help you guys stay safe for those of you thinking of doing this. And when choosing your appropriate Kambo healer, facilitator, practitioner, whatever it may be, your shaman, because also through doing that interview with Heather, which is also part of my ancestral shamanic medicine playlist, in that video she shared how the shaman that applied the medicine to her then kind of went off and was busy greeting people who were arriving at the center, which to me seemed really weird because your job is to be there taking care of the people who are under your care with the medicine that you've just given them. And even outside of that, shaman who gave her the medicine had an assistant of some kind who was supposed to be taking care of the people, I guess, but for whatever reason, I guess didn't really seem to be actively looking after Heather. And Heather ended up having the medicine on for a whole hour, which is not common, and her face was swollen for 3 days. So I just feel personally that that was negligent of those people, and that they should not have done things that way because, again, I hope that by now at this point in the video, you've understood that though this medicine can be very beneficial and very helpful in so many ways to treat different illnesses and issues, but it's also kind of like a double-edged sword when you're not doing things the right way with this medicine. And it can end up being very harmful if you're not responsible. And so that's my intention for doing this video, is to really give you guys as much information as possible so you can be safe and choose the right people. And if people are not showing up for you as they're intended to, then you advocate for yourself and you get your ass out of there and go somewhere else that's a much better fit and that has better safety precautions. You touched a little bit already on the different forms of purging. So let's just dive into that a little bit more around the purging process. The pre purge, the purge during the ceremony, and then the post purge. I know for me in my ceremony, I had a pre purge coming on. I started getting like flu like symptoms like 2, 3 days before. And based on my beliefs and my experience in the healing world, I knew that that was my subconscious kind of having some resistance or purging some kind of fear in regards to doing the ceremony because I was deathly frightened of vomiting. That's just been a fear of mine, or was especially a fear of mine from the time I was 9 years old up until last year. So I knew that because I had agreed to do the ceremony and I was probably gonna vomit, my subconscious was like freaking out, and I started having these kind of cold like flu like symptoms that were maybe in a way gonna try to discourage me from following through and doing the ceremony. But because I knew what it was, I just went through with it anyway because nothing was gonna hold me back from facing my fear and getting this healing. So could you elaborate more on the pre-purge, the purge during the ceremony, and then the post-purge?
The pre-purge always starts when you commit to do that ceremony. You've made a payment or you've made the promise, okay, I'm going to be doing this ceremony on this X date or whatever with that practitioner. And then once you commit it, then your subconscious knows, like, holy shit, I'm about to like embark a healing journey. The unhealthy ego, the part of us that doesn't really want to change, that just wants to keep us safe, it starts to get freaked out. It doesn't want to change. It's like, holy crap, I'm about to like enter this powerful healing or whatever. I don't want to change. I don't want to change. So that part of you doesn't want to change and will do anything in its power to try to dissuade you from the decision that you've just made. And then will manifest things in your life for you to change your mind. Whether it's you being sick a few days before, right? Like you had, whether it's an accident, having certain fears about the ceremony. After you've already committed, you start looking online. You're like, oh my God, oh no, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm afraid. No, I've read this thing on the internet. I don't want to do it anymore. This is all pre-purge symptoms. Just be mindful that there's a part of you inside of you that doesn't want to change, that might be manifest these things, and that feeds into your fear. And then a lot of people do have that pre-purge, and then at the last minute or the day before something, like, oh, I can do the ceremony, I can do the ceremony. The best thing to do that I would do is I would just jump on the call with a client and be like, okay, let's just talk about this, right? What exactly is happening? Why did this come up to you and everything? And then we just clarify it. We just kind of like figure out where actually this fear actually comes from. And most of the time, it actually ends up being a pre-purge. So just be mindful of that pre-purge, and that if you made that commitment, if part of you made that commitment for that ceremony, you should probably do it. And that it would be for your benefit to actually do it if initially you've wanted to do it. Why are you listening to your fears right now, right? To not do it. And sometimes you'll have like, yeah, literally physical symptoms. You're literally physically sick. And you're like, oh no, but that's something else. I got the flu at the supermarket or whatever. Nah, your subconscious is extremely powerful. So powerful to be able to create flu-like symptoms just out of fear. It does happen. So that's one thing. That's a pre-purge. And then we have the purge during the ceremony, which is really interesting. You have also so many different types of ways, right, to have this purge. You might be sweating. You might be vomiting, the most common one, right? You might be screaming. You might be crying, right? A lot of emotions might be pulled out of you. You might feel cold sweats. You might feel, yeah, shakes. you're going to feel very uncomfortable in that moment. Sometimes even it might even be a headache, or you might also have what's called the bottom purge. So the bottom purge, it's easy, right? You have to go to the bathroom for number two, and that's also a type of purge. So even let's say you would do Kambo and you don't vomit, that's completely fine. You don't need to, because you're going to purge in other ways. These are different ways where you can purge during the ceremony. Now let's jump into after the ceremony, the post purge, because the purge doesn't just end up during your ceremony. You have your purge, and then the medicine stays in you and it continues to do its work. It continues to do its healing inside your body, inside your mind. Basically, the following days, the following weeks, especially the following days after your ceremony, the medicine is going to be very strong. It's going to still work in you to purge these extra things. So especially, it also depends on the trauma that you're actually working with. So if you're working with a very deep trauma, if it's a childhood trauma, something very horrific happened to you, or something that is very deep ingrained within you that has been really affecting you negatively, then the medicine is going to still do a lot of work on you even after. So you might feel like crap, you might feel like shit for a few days after, and that's completely normal. That is the post purge. The medicine continues to work with you, the medicine continues to heal within you, and there's nothing to worry about. Okay, just be aware of the post purge. So there's all these purges, there's all these things that if you go to just a retreat center, they're not going to talk to you about all these things. you know a lot of places, sometimes they're just there for the money too. They're just going to give you the medicine, and sure, you get some sort of healing, but you don't even know what exactly you've purged out. when Versus when you actually connect to your intention, then you know what you've actually been working on, and then you can also compare to how much you've purged and how much you've purged out of your mind, purged out of your body, and everything about that specific intention and situation that's been bothering you, right? So yeah, these are the three types of purges. I don't know if you have any questions.
Everything that we've been discussing around maybe what could go wrong during a Kambo ceremony and the purging process kind of makes me want to ask you, have you ever had any complications in a ceremony that you want to share about?
The only complication wasn't really a complication for me, it's just a potentiality or something that may happen during a ceremony. The last client I had passed out on me, and I had to remove the medicine, but I had to be there for her, just make sure she was breathing properly and everything. And it went well, but it was very, very intense for her. And she also had a very big post purge. She really didn't feel good for at least a solid 3-4 days or something after the ceremony, and she thought that the medicine was making her sick, but it's not that the medicine made her sick. She was just continuing to purge. And also the fact that that client was a little bit reluctant on sharing some of the things that was affecting her. So because she was keeping a lot more things inside and was less open to open up to me with the things, and that's completely fine. I mean, the clients, they can only share to their level of comfortability. Exactly. So we as practitioners, we got to respect the client's wishes. Obviously, we never are too pushy either, but sometimes it's good if they get out of their comfort zone a little bit and they open up. The more they open up, the more we can actually help them, because we connect them more to their intentions. But if it's something that they keep a lot inside, then potentially we might not be able to purge as much during the ceremony, and then the post purge might be more intense. And that's why this specific client had a very intense post purge of 3 days, because she was keeping things inside. That's my theory. And that afterwards, she was still purging a lot. So, but there's no right or wrong way. It's just something to be mindful of, I think. That the more we connect to our intentions and the more we're open with our practitioner and connect to our intentions during that ceremony, the more we cleanse. Yeah, so that's the only real, I guess, what we could call a complication, I guess. But I didn't really have any complications.
I remember you telling me after my ceremony that the longer I kept a clean diet, the longer the spirit of Kambo would be with me. I want to kind of touch a little bit on the dietary aspect of Kambo, how one can prepare for a Kambo ceremony and what they may be allowed to eat or not eat, and whether they should keep that diet post ceremony and for how long.
Having a clean diet plays a big part into preparing your body for the sometime very intense experience, very intense purge, very intense emotional release that happens to the people. And having a good diet really helps to kind of soften that blow a little bit. It really helps to prepare our bodies, and also it opens up our energy more to be able to cleanse more because everything is more free flowing, so to speak. And we just have less gunk, whether it's food, toxins, or whatever, right? We don't really eat fast food or whatever. So talking about the diet, before the ceremony, we try to not fast for at least a week before the ceremony, but we have to fast just before the ceremony for at least 8 to 10 hours before the ceremony, and we have to drink 2 liters of water. But the whole week prior, at the very least 72 hours before, that's the diet. We have to limit our red meat intake. No pork is allowed, no dairy products, no spicy foods, no fast foods or greasy foods if possible, no caffeine, no medications if possible, no sugar. But we can eat the sugar from fruits. The natural sugar from fruits is fine as long as it's not refined. So natural cane sugar could be potentially fine, but it's recommended to not eat any of that. If you have sugar cravings, I would recommend just before a Kambo ceremony, only eat fruits. Just don't have anything refined. So you just prepare your body for all of this. The more your body is clean, the more you can clean further. And that also is true for after the ceremony. After the ceremony, the medicine continues working within you. It's kind of like the medicine is kind of like a scraper, and you have all this gunk inside of you. The medicine is there to scrape some stuff. So the more you clean your body, the more the medicine can scrape some stuff out of you, whether it's energetic, emotional blockages, actual physical toxins, so many different things. The medicine continues to work with you. You can call it the medicine, you can call it the spirit, you can call it whatever you want, but the medicine is inside of you and has its own consciousness, has its own intelligence. It's inside of you and wants for you to be balanced, wants to help you. The medicine is inside of you and remains inside of you, and the cleaner you are, the more comfortable the medicine likes to stay there to continue working with you. So the cleaner you have a diet, the more you'll feel that sense of calm you feel right after a Kambo ceremony follow on with you, and that sense of just inner wellness will continue staying with you for longer. That's why also we have the post diet. We try to do the same thing as the pre-diet before the ceremony. We try to follow the same thing for post diet, so at least the medicine can at least continue working with you for at least 3 days after, if possible. If you eat a lot of junk right after your ceremony, then the spirit of Kambo, the frog energy inside of you, is not going to want to stay there because it's not going to be a very comfortable or clean environment for the medicine to continue working with you longer. So the cleaner you keep your body, the longer the medicine works with you, and that's just something that you feel instinctively. If you try not eating that clean after a ceremony, you'll feel the difference. After the ceremony, I feel amazing and everything, and as soon as I start to eat a little bit of sugar and everything, I don't feel as good as I felt just before that. So just something to be mindful of.
Is sex allowed when you're about to have a Kambo ceremony, the pre-ceremony and post-ceremony diet?
Oh, thank you for this reminder. Yes, I completely forgot. That's a very important part before the ceremony and also and after. No sex and no self pleasure.
We talked about how keeping a clean diet post ceremony helps the spirit of Kambo to stay with you longer and to experience the benefits. I would love for you to elaborate a little bit more on what the benefits are after you have a Kambo ceremony. So, post Kambo ceremony, how do people generally feel? What do they experience? I know for me, for the first about 4 days, maybe, I felt like I had so much energy. I felt lighter. I only needed maybe, I guess, 4 to 6 hours of sleep or something a night, and I would still feel energized throughout my day, which is for me unheard of because I generally need 8 or more hours of sleep to feel my best, to feel good enough to just go about my day energized. But after Kambo, I didn't need as much sleep, and I was just really blown away by that. And I just felt overall pretty good and yeah, just happy.
After a Kambo ceremony, people feel a lot more relaxed, a lot more energized, like you felt. People feel lighter, and that's the emotions, that the toxins, that's the different things that they've been purging out of themselves. And they just feel overall better, but especially calm. They feel very calm, like a sense of peace that you haven't felt in a while. It just kind of like envelops you and protects you. And you just feel grounded, centered, not as bothered about things as much as you used to. Because, like, think about it in this way too. On the psyche aspect, you just had a very intense experience, releasing whatever you need to release. After the experience, you realize, like, oh, it's kind of like the body and the subconscious, like, realize, like, oh no, it's not the end of the world. It's not the intensity like in the ceremony. So then after the ceremony, when you get to encounter other issues, problems, or whatever in your own life, well, these issues don't bother you as much because they don't seem as big of a deal because you literally just went through a challenge, a physical challenge, a mental challenge also. So other challenges don't seem as rough. So it kind of trains you in some way to be calmer, to be more connected to your center. To summarize it, calm, peace, energized, centered. If you're not feeling that right after the ceremony, then you might still need some cleaning, or the medicine is still working within you powerfully to release these things, and then you might only feel these things only after a few days, after 3, 4, 5 days, or whatever, after your ceremony. It's after the purge has been finished. So whether it's your purge or your post purge, after this period of time, that's when you'll feel much better and you'll really feel the difference, usually following you the following days, to even if you keep a really clean diet, may follow you for a few weeks or even months, some people say. So it really depends on a lot of factors.
So, what you're saying is that the benefits of the ceremony are not always immediately experienced. Sometimes it can take a little bit of time, depending on each person and how their purging happened. And I was wondering from what you just said right now that some people still see the benefits even months after. And they really see a major difference in themselves or in their lives with even just one ceremony? Or does a person require more than one ceremony? What are your thoughts on this?
I believe that there's no right number of ceremonies that one can have. I really feel like it's intuitive. You will feel it, you will know it if you actually need more ceremonies. And having one ceremony can be very, very beneficial. You don't need necessarily to have like 3 or 4 ceremonies, but I do know that having more ceremonies, especially if you're working with an intention or a trauma or whatever that you're trying to release, if you're working on something that is very deep, then having multiple ceremonies can probably be very, very beneficial for you because you can actually release a lot more. One of the reasons why people will feel the benefits, even though it may not be that absolute sense of calmness that you may feel directly after a ceremony, you're probably going to feel much lighter because you have released this stuff, literally, physically released it. And you don't have that weight, these emotions, these things really bothering you anymore. So you're literally someone new. You have a new sense of self. You feel calmer, you feel lighter. And because these emotions have been purged out of you, or these things that have been bothering you has been purged out of you, the new you is going to be lighter. It's going to be more energetic. It's going to be less bothered by things of life. That new self is going to continue helping you in your own journey. You're going to continue embody the new things that you've just learned within your ceremony with you in the following weeks, following months, and that new sense of self will be embodied. That's why you can kind of feel it following you for a long time because you've released a trauma. You don't have to deal with that anymore. So you're someone else.
Is one ceremony enough to address a trauma, or would you need more than one ceremony? How do you know how many ceremonies you need?
It really varies, to be honest with you. If after your ceremony you feel very heavy, you feel like you need to lay down a lot, and you feel like crap for like a few hours, even after your ceremony, then the medicine is still working with you, then more than likely you still have some stuff inside of you that may benefit from more ceremonies. So if you have something really heavy and you're still feeling very heavy after the ceremony, I would probably recommend 2 or 3 ceremonies. But even if you just do one ceremony, for example, that one ceremony is going to be very beneficial. You're going to feel the difference, but you can rest assured that if you have a deeper wound, I can guarantee you, you will feel not just better after one ceremony. After the second and third ceremony, then you'll feel even better, lighter, more peace. And that's how you know. So if it's a very, very deep trauma, something that really affected you and that has been affecting you your whole life, something horrible happened to you in your childhood or whatever, then maybe a few ceremonies might be very, very beneficial for you, for example. If it's just something that's been bothering you for the past month or something, and that it's not something that's really been holding you down your whole life, then maybe just one ceremony might be just be enough. So that's kind of how you can know, or how you can gauge a little bit. But it's mostly intuitive. You'll know once you've released it, and if you need more.
Have you ever dealt with a personal issue of yours through multiple Kambo ceremonies?
I have actually worked with some issues of mine with my own personal relationship where I felt like I needed multiple ceremonies, where I was working on certain parts of me that was affecting me from my inner child that was hurt, probably from when my parents broke up and whatever. And it was making part of me sometimes selfish. And it was actually affecting me negatively in my relationship. So, me and my wife, we spoke about this, and we came to the conclusion that having multiple ceremonies on this specific issue might help me to actually release that more, which was affecting my relationship, which I was really, really trying to remove these parts of me affecting her harmony. After doing the multiple ceremonies, I've literally noticed the difference between each ceremony. The first ceremony, I had a harder time to actually release and to purge things out because part of my subconscious did not want to release, or did not want to like remove these things. After the second ceremony that I did, then things were just coming out much more naturally, and I felt a little better. But I still felt a little heavy after the second one. But after the third ceremony I did, that I was working on selfishness, I really noticed a big difference. After my ceremony, instead of feeling like I was knocked on my ass for a few hours, I was ready to go right after my ceremony. I felt light right away and I felt amazing. I'm like, okay, let's go. That's kind of how I knew that, like, wow, okay, I think I really kind of dig that stuff out of me, of my consciousness, of my mind, or whatever. I've digged all this out. And it was really like night and day. I really saw like the big difference just in how I felt right after. So that's how I knew, like, okay, I think I've done enough work on this for now, anyways, because I clearly see there was a big difference. And also the following days and the following weeks, I definitely noticed a big difference with my wife when we were speaking about these issues and these different things. My reactions were also a little bit different. My triggers weren't as they used to, and I was really transformed. As a Kambo practitioner, it's important that we work on our own self-healing. And as we work on our own self-healing, we gain experience as we work on ourselves, and we can actually be better of service for clients or for people that we're actually trying to help with this powerful medicine. We become better channels because we're only channels. The true healer is the medicine. Whatever the medicine that you're working with, never put a shaman, even though the shaman, they're very good, they're very powerful sometimes, if whether you're doing ayahuasca, San Pedro, whatever, Kambo, never put these people on pedestals. They are not to be idolized. They are very powerful channelers that can help you really remove and release these things. But never put these people on pedestals. We're all equal, everyone.
That's Nick preaching some spiritual stuff for some of you. I have a couple of final questions just to wrap this video up because it's been really long. So if any of you are still watching by this point, then please let me know. Give this video a thumbs up. Drop me a comment letting me know you're still hanging in there with me. I wasn't expecting this video to be this long. One of the things that really initially put me off from doing Kambo was the fact that there is vomiting that usually is a part of Kambo, but also the scars. I didn't want to have scars back in 2016 because when I was a kid, I was just always running around getting myself into trouble and getting all kinds of scrapes and stuff. So I have plenty of scars from my childhood, and I didn't want to have any more scars from the Kambo back in 2016. But I overcame that fear for my own healing. No, Angel. Sorry, everyone. This is Angel. This is my daughter. Yeah, say hi. Angel is going to be making her social media appearance on TikTok soon. We have a TikTok account. It's Stef's Peru Travel Tips on TikTok, so I'll be posting soon. You can start following me. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about the scars and stuff because you told me to stay out of the sun the weeks following my ceremony so that the scars could slowly fade away, but it took me like 6 months for my scars to actually finally go away, even though I stayed out of the sun that whole time. They were very dark on me because I'm a brown person, so brown people usually when we scar it, like it's very noticeable on our skin. It'll look darker. And so I stayed out of the sun though for 6 months, longer than what you recommended, and it was still very visibly noticeable. And it was only when I went on a boat trip with my partner and his family that I got a really bad sunburn. And that sunburn kind of like, I guess, burned my scars or something, and it made it blend in with the color of the rest of my leg. So now they're not really visible anymore as a result. So I just kind of wanted you to touch a little bit on gumbo scars and how you treat gumbo scars so that they're not visible over time. Or maybe, like I've noticed from you, from what you've shared, your arm scars are not really visible anymore. But when I was consulting you about my leg scar months after, you also had leg scars that were still noticeable even months after your own ceremony. So I think that the leg scars happen to be dark and they're a little bit more challenging to go away unless you get like a tan like me or something, or a sunburn like me. But then maybe the arm scars go away much more easily, because everyone I know that has an arm ceremony, or like the dots on their arms, their scars usually go away. They can barely see them after a few months or years, especially.
It really varies depending on the person. Right after a combo ceremony, what I recommend people is to stay out of the sun. Anyways, the area of exposure where you had the medicine on, you can call it combo scars, combo dots, whatever. I guess they're scars, but yeah, stay out of the sun for at least 3 to 4 weeks after. It's kind of like any type of scars. If you're having a tattoo, for example, you want to stay out of the sun so that it actually heals properly. And then obviously you can definitely expose yourself a little bit to the sun for sure. And on some level, I'm sure that the sun on some level helps to, I don't know, heal the skin on some level at some point. But for at the beginning, for sure, the beginning healing stage is definitely out of the sun. And after about, in my experience, about a year after, they don't really show up as much anymore. And from my own experience, and also from what you've shared with me, people with combo dots on their ankles, the scars seems to be lasting a little bit longer. I'll show you some pictures of my own scars. You can kind of see it as a mark of the warrior or whatever. It's not really something to be afraid of. You should be proud of it. You went through something that is not necessarily comfortable.
My next question is, how does a Kambo ceremony compare to an ayahuasca ceremony, a San Pedro ceremony, or whatever other types of shamanic things out there? Like, what's the difference? If you could just briefly explain.
An ayahuasca ceremony might last usually at least 5 hours, up to like 12 hours, or even the effects might be felt for longer. Combo, on the other hand, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. The after effects, again, depending on the person, it always changes, might be felt a few hours after. But usually within 2 hours after the ceremony, you're completely back to baseline. And unless you had like a very, very deep, deep, deep wound, sometimes you might feel, that post purge continue with you for at least a few days until then you start to feel better. Combo is so much shorter. And that's what I also like about it. You can do so much healing in a short amount of time versus San Pedro, for example, which can be like 12 to 16 hours. It's a lot shorter.
Yeah, I think I definitely prefer Kambo just because you get in, you purge, you get out, and you move on. Because my experiences with ayahuasca, those were really intense and they lasted a really long time. I shared all about it in my video that you can check out in my playlist. And San Pedro was also really long, but it was different. It wasn't like purging like in ayahuasca or Kambo. It was different. So anyway, those are my thoughts on that. And just my final question for any people who are vegan or about animal rights and stuff who might want to know whether Kambo is ethical.
Yes, it is ethical to get combo, but you got to make sure that the frog sweat is harvested in a respectful way and that the frog is actually treated with care, like the indigenous people actually do. They harvest the frog sweat, or you can almost call it milk sometimes. They're milking it, right? They're milking the frog. So they're doing like just one extraction out of it, and then they just let the frog back into the wild in its own natural habitat. And then the frog has enough of its own secretion to protect itself, even though it doesn't really have a natural predator in the wild. So yeah, as long as the frog is treated with respect and it's not over extracted, it is ethical in that sense. If you're over extracting the frog, then it becomes unethical, and then the frog is not really treated with respect and care that it actually deserves. Another interesting thing is that the combo frog, or the Phytomedusa bicolor frog, doesn't produce its sweat when it's in captivity. Some people have tried to gather the combo toxin or combo sweat in the past, and they realized after a while that it doesn't work. They cannot keep extracting the kambo from the frogs that are in captivity. They just don't produce it. It's kind of like literally the kambo sweat, the medicine is literally tied to their soul on some level, their well-being. If they don't have a good well-being, they're just not going to produce it. So it's really interesting, and it has to be in its own natural habitat to be able to actually produce it. So it automatically makes it mostly ethical, but the frog has to be treated with respect.
I think hardcore vegans would say no, this is not ethical and not vegan, but to each their own. I'm just putting the information out there for those of you interested, and then you can decide whether it's for you or not. Yeah, I think that's basically it. We've covered as much as we could in this video. It's really long, so thank you to anyone and everyone who is watching this video from start to finish. We really appreciate your time because everyone's time is valuable, and once you use your time in some way, you can't get it back. So I really do appreciate anyone watching this more than hour long video. If you really enjoyed the information that we shared in this video today, please give this video a thumbs up, letting me know that you got value out of this video. Please drop me a comment down below. Also, just sharing your thoughts on this video, whether you're into these things or not really interested in these things, but you're just watching it just because you like to learn about all kinds of random things like I do. I watch all kinds of videos that maybe I don't necessarily jam with, and that's not my thing, but I like learning about others and their experiences and what they're up to. So I'm into all kinds of things as a true Aquarius. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, be sure to do so that you can get more videos on Peru and just other interesting things that I put out there. I just wanted to say thank you so much, Nick, for being here, for donating your time and sharing your wisdom and expertise with all these people to really help them. It's just really important to me to really educate the people watching on these things because there are so many horror stories out there about shamanic medicine gone wrong or plant medicine gone wrong. For example, very recently, at the time of this recording in what month? October 2024. Oh yeah, look, I have Halloween nails for those of you who appreciate nails. It's October, but I'll show you in a bit. Anyway, point is, there was some guy, I forgot from where he was, Europe or something, and this other woman who's also of European descent, but from different countries. Long story short, this guy made like a cocktail of like ayahuasca with mushrooms, with I don't know what else. He mixed it, he drank it, the girl drank it. And long story short, there he had like a psychotic break, heard some voices telling him to kill this girl, so he ended up killing her and actually dismembering her. And I don't know what else. I didn't really go deep into the story, but it was like something really, really crazy. And those are the kinds of crazy things that happen sometimes when you don't treat this medicine with respect and when you aren't doing it under the guidance of someone that does know about these things, that is qualified to administer these things in a safe manner. So I just want to really put information out there as much as I can to help you guys make good decisions and to just have the information you need to guide you in whatever you decide to do. So, Nick, I'd really love for you to just share with everyone where they can find you. If you're looking to book sessions with Nick in Lima, Peru, you can reach out to him. I'll drop his social media things in the description of this video. Yeah, just let the people know where they can find you and learn more about you or connect with you and follow your work.
Okay, well, first I want to thank you so much, Steph, for having me today on your channel. I appreciate it very much because, informing people about this important information, especially for safety reasons, and also to reassure people about these things. And when they're well informed, usually everything goes very well. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to be able to inform people about my practice, about the Kambo medicine, which I have very dear to my heart. So people can actually find me on social media at spiritual self mastery in one word. For my combo ceremonies, you can reach me on WhatsApp directly, 51992999543. Just reach me on my Instagram or on Facebook or directly on the WhatsApp. You reach out to me, and then I give you all the information. I send the people a PDF with all the safety information, with also the counterindications. Then we make sure we talk to each other to book that session for you if that is what you're being called for to have a ceremony. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. The different medicines of the jungle are always very interesting, and to respect the cultural heritage and traditions of the indigenous people, very important. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, any ceremonies in Lima, hit me up. Have a great day.
All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. We've been filming for 2 hours. Can you believe it? So I really hope that this was worth it and lots of people benefit from this video. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
After Kambo ceremony. After Kambo ceremony, people feel much more balanced. They feel a lot more energized.
You don't hold this mic to your mouth. Stop.
Where I needed to release a lot of different things in my own personal relationships, some things from my past, from my own traumas, from my own childhood, from my own child self, my own inner child.
Yo, Mio, how many times are you gonna say inner child? Childhood, inner child, child self. Gemini, stop repeating yourself.
That's my nature.
Okay, start over.
Where I had to actually do multiple ceremonies, where I was working on one specific intention. Issues specifically.
Yo.
What?
The mic is over here and you're over here.
Me and my partner, we kind of figured that.
You're white.
Yes.
Unless your partner is a man.
No.
Do you have a husband?
No.
Get to the point.
Calm down. In companies in the past, I've been trying to milk the cow. That's one interesting thing. I've been trying to milk the cow, the Philomedusa bicolor. Oh. Okay, sorry.
Milk the cow.
Okay. Certain companies in the past have been actually trying to milk the frog.
Not the cow.
No.
I need you to. I think you're a little scattered.
Yeah.
Is it ethical?
I would never over milk the cow. I would never over milk the frog. The indigenous people. Please.
Ugh. Did you like your outro?
No.
Then you can redo it.
Yes.
Should have just stopped yourself.
I just go and roll with it. Of the Amazon. Thanks.
Did you like that outro?
No, I don't. Third time's the charm. Give me a second. I'm just gonna. I want to say thank you so much, Stef, for having me in today in your video, basically. Cut. Yeah. And if.
Oh, keep talking.
Yeah, so if we actually do a proper screening and people are actually well informed enough. Oh, fuck, I'm gonna start again. Sorry.
Yo, Mio.
Okay.
It's 10 minutes.
So thank you so much for watching, everyone, and to learn more about the powerful medicine of Kambo.
Are we good now?
Does that look good?
I guess. Okay. So that's a really. Blowing in the wind.
Basically.
Let the mic follow you. Coño.
Okay. Okay, sure. If you want me to start again, I could have just added it.
No, I have to edit. So
Okay.